This is Larry Jordan, the host of the Digital Production Buzz. The following interview is an excerpt from a recent program. To hear the entire program, visit digitalproductionbuzz.com. Larry O'Connor founded Otherworld Computing, which is also called OWC, in 1988. Their website, which you may know better than their company name, is macsales.com. OWC is both a reseller and a developer, and they support all things Mac and have been doing that for more than 25 years. Hello, Larry. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me back, Larry.
And a very happy New Year to you.
Yes, sir, and to you and yours. And looking forward to 2016. You're rolling in quick here.
Yeah, well, we just got a few hours, at least on the West Coast. It's already happening elsewhere in the country. But, last week I was just thinking, we spent our entire time talking about trends that we saw in 2015 that caught our attention. I want to flip that this week and look forward to 2016. What are you expecting from the new year?
Well, in the new year, we've already, we've kind of taken that first painful step to where, systems no longer, a lot of systems anyway, don't have those PCIe slots. They don't have a lot of ports external, but we have Thunderbolt. And while Thunderbolt's been great, it's kind of been a little bit low on the bandwidth side versus, what we've had in the past. Now, 2016, certainly a little bit further into the year is going to usher in Thunderbolt 3, which I really think starts to fully capitalize on the promise of Thunderbolt.
What's the difference between Thunderbolt 2 and Thunderbolt 3?
Thunderbolt, well, I'll just go through the three. Thunderbolt, the original Thunderbolt was 10 gigabits. It's about 1.2 gigabytes a second throughput. But you have to take off overhead for DisplayPort. Thunderbolt 2, a total of about there's 20 gigabits. And it would take off, if we take DisplayPort overhead off of that, about 1.4 gigabytes of data throughput. And now we have Thunderbolt 3, which doubles that again to 40 gigabits. And now you have a vast majority, not a double-digit, well, not a huge double-digit, the percentage of that being eaten by your display channel. Now you're talking about well over 30 gigabits of actual data throughput available. And while that's not what a PCI slot gave, you now have a substantially increased, more than a doubling of real available bandwidth. It's much faster.
Now, my understanding about Thunderbolt 3 is that it's finally fast enough to support 4K, even 5K displays, which Thunderbolt 2 was not able to support. Is that a true statement? Thunderbolt
2, the current DisplayPort supports 4K and 5K displays, but it eats up a big chunk of the bandwidth that reduces your availability, even if you don't have a display attached, for other devices and data stores. In terms of Thunderbolt 3, you now have the throughput, broad throughput available through a single channel for doing external editing and real-time work with 4K and 5 and even beyond.
Okay, so we've got Thunderbolt 3 to look forward to. What else are you looking forward to?
I tell you, Thunderbolt 3 kind of plays into all things. Right now, when you look to adding capability to your system and certainly supporting the kinds of editing, the kinds of production work that people are already doing, Thunderbolt 3 now makes it really possible to have more of your cake and eat it too. There's a lot of Mac Pro 2010, 2012 still in service because they've got those slots and they need them for the bandwidth that they offer. More and more of those kinds of solution needs you'll be able to support through Thunderbolt 3. So the biggest trend is going to be further customization, be able to buy a core box that comes with very little other than this external expandability via Thunderbolt, and turn it into what you need it to be. Solid state, of course, will continue to get faster and larger. You see good internal storage for the actual processing work, exceptional external arrays, and then big spinners. Spinning flash drives will still be a big part of the equation of the store and handle those data flows on the outside.
So you're seeing one of the big benefits is Thunderbolt 3 is just going to unlock a whole lot more storage at the same or a lower price. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah, that would be the true statement. Thunderbolt 2 on its own is plenty fast for the majority, but when you need to add a PCI card for doing external processing, or you want or need more GPU capability, Thunderbolt 2 is kind of a limiting factor. It just doesn't have the bandwidth. Thunderbolt 3, on the other hand, starts to enable that and make that really practical.
In other words, we could start to offload processes like GPUs off to an expansion chassis rather than have to deal with a GPU that's inside the computer?
You got it.
That
I mean,
opens
Macro,
up.
the silver towers still have a lot of inflation today because where you need GPU capability, the current systems just don't have that expansion support. You can't throw a bunch of GPUs into a Mac Pro 2013 and doing it over Thunderbolt. You're getting 1/4 the bandwidth of a PCIe slot. Thunderbolt 3 opens up to where now you put that external GPU on a channel. There is enough bandwidth for that GPU typically to be fully utilized.
That could even allow us to have
High-end
multiple
ones.
GPUs running at the same time, which could be huge in terms of media and rendering.
Absolutely.
That's very cool. That's very cool. What other things are you keeping your eyes on, or is everything revolving around storage?
Not everything revolves around storage, but a trend that I guess I would say I'm hoping for is to see more stability in our being an Apple, I'd say, guy and all, more stability in our OS and focus on improving the code base and its performance as opposed to deciding this is a year where things need to be broken and remade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's always a lot of debate about whether it's nice to have a new operating system every year, but the problem is when it changes every year, you're never really sure when to upgrade because you're never sure when the operating system is stable enough to upgrade. Maybe taking a little bit longer between OS updates would be a good thing.
And I'm not saying I agree with this 100%, although I also don't disagree with that. I still talk to a lot of people that say, 10.6.8 was Apple's best OS to date. And since then, I mean, it seems to be a lot of functionality being added, but the question becomes, is it functionality that everybody needs? It's going to a lot of different places, and it'd be great to see it. I'd love to see things really become fully optimized and bug-free, and the Apple OS that we love and know Apple OS for.
Well, as long as operating systems are as complex as they are, I think bug-free is a forlorn hope, but as few bugs as possible is probably more realistic.
Let's make what we have work really, really well, though, before we break it and decide it's time for a bunch of new features and new ways of doing things.
Larry, I want to thank you so much for joining us both last week and this week with your thoughts on what to expect in 2016. Where can people go on the web to learn more about you and your company?
And they can visit owcdistro.com, and they can certainly visit macsales.com to see learn a whole lot.
And Larry O'Connor is the founder of OWC. And Larry, thanks for joining us today.
I'm glad to be here. Happy New Year, Larry, and thanks for having me.
And a Happy New Year to you as well. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. To stay connected and receive updates from The Buzz, sign up for our free weekly newsletter now. Or you can learn more about us on our website. And thanks for watching The Digital Production Buzz.